Information is everywhere. You can glean it from TV and movies, books, podcasts, just to name a few. Speaking of podcasts, it seems like every 3 business days, someone starts a new one. What's up with that? The abundance of information and opinion creates noise. Not to mention, there's no way to plow through all the information that's thrown at us anyway. Did you know that even if you lived to be 100 years old and watched every YouTube video there was, or listened to every podcast, or read every book, you'd only be able to consume less than 2% of it? No wonder it's so tough to narrow down which source you should plug into. You've got to constantly ask yourself, is what I'm about to listen to going to add value to my life? Is it just plain entertainment? Or is this something I should avoid altogether? So how do you find gems that add value to your life? How do you know which book is the best for you? Certain books will greatly impact your life and how you see the world. Based on the history of these books, my own experience reading them, and some research I did on them, these are not just books you need to read in your lifetime. These are books you need to read ASAP. Do you hear me? ASAP. Now, I've divided the books into 2 categories, fiction and nonfiction, because yes, you should be reading fiction too. Obviously, there are more books out there, but these are some books that people who have achieved greatness in their life consistently recommend. Nonfiction, Marcus Aurelius's Meditations. No matter how many times I read this book, I always discover something valuable. The author of this book, Marcus Aurelius, was one of the last great Roman emperors. He was a great leader who followed Stoic philosophy, which I believe is what we need in this current world of chaos. Stoicism is a set of principles that guides one's thoughts and behaviors toward resilience, well-being, personal responsibility, and a happy life. When Marcus wrote the principles in this book, he never meant for it to be seen by the public. He wrote this content in his personal diary. He wrote it for himself to remind himself of the principles that he needed to live by to become a better man and a better emperor. When you read this book, you will see a lot of principles are repeated, almost like a constant reminder to himself to do better, which I guess is why it's titled Meditations. Aurelius wrote these principles nearly 2,000 years ago, and they're still very relevant today. I'm sure if you read it and pick up some of the principles in this book, you'll definitely see a shift in your life. 2. Morgan Housel's The Psychology of Money. If we're being honest, a lot of the self-help nonfiction books out there are just different shades of the same information, but not this one. This book is a must-read because it deals with the knowledge of money, the very currency that the world runs on. If you're ambitious, you probably intend to make a lot of money in your lifetime. But no matter how much you earn, if you don't understand the psychology of money, you won't have a healthy relationship with it, and you'll likely struggle to attain, maintain, and grow your wealth. Being financially independent isn't necessarily about what you know about money. It's about how you behave with it. How you behave with money will determine whether you become wealthy or stay wealthy. Behavior is hard to teach, even to intelligent people. But this book does a great job of breaking down the kind of attitude you need to have about money in order to keep it. I know what you're thinking right now. Finance books are so complex and hard to understand, but this book is very different from the rest. It breaks down complex concepts to make them easy to understand for anyone. Trust me, if you read this book, your relationship with money will change for the better. I've read this book 4 times. It's that good. 3. Joseph Murphy's The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. If you spend any time on the internet, then you've probably heard about manifestation, vision boards, and all that. Well, this book is a scientific approach to that. It explains how our subconscious mind and subconscious beliefs literally create our lives. This book delves into how you can understand your subconscious mind better, as well as how to control it to improve your relationships, finances, and physical well-being. It retrains your brain by teaching you how to use research-based, scientifically proven techniques. Fiction. Now that we've covered nonfiction, let's enter the world of fiction. 1. The Stranger by Albert Camus. If you're new to fiction, this book might be a bit weird. It's a very short story. On the surface, it's a story of a man who is dealing with the loss of his mother, which leads him to commit a crime. But if you explore deeper, there's a whole other story that's relevant today. This book deals with themes of absurdism, detachments, and the pressure from society, something we as humans deal with in different ways. It also deals with the idea of a moral compass. How far can a man go without a moral compass, and what are the consequences of those? This book forced me to judge my own moral compass and to think what I would do if I was in a similar position as the protagonist of the book. It was kind of scary. Another great book which has similar themes is Crime and Punishment by Fyodor Dostoevsky. 2. All Quiet on the Western Front, Erich Maria Remarque, one of my favorite fiction books ever written. It tells the story of a 20-year-old young man who enlists himself as a soldier in World War I and how it completely shatters him as a person. It's an anti-war book and it was written in a time when people used to glorify war. Apart from the beautiful writing that plays on your imagination, this book delves into the effect of war on the human psyche. In times of war, often the person on the war front faces the brutality of war in a way that civilians can never understand. With the chaotic times that we live in, this book will help you appreciate how lucky you are that you don't have to face what generations before you faced. No book, poem, or film can adequately capture that horror. 3. Toni Morrison's The Bluest Eye. Aside from the fact that Toni Morrison is one of the greatest writers of all time, this book awakens truths that have been buried deep within us. The New York Times did an article on Morrison. Their quote couldn't have said it better. The questions she asked years ago are wholly relevant now. To what do we pay the greatest allegiance? Family, language group, culture, country, gender, religion, race? And if none of these matter, are we urbane, cosmopolitan, or simply lonely? In other words, how do we decide where we belong? What convinces us that we do? Through her writing, Toni Morrison has tried to capture the essence of that question. When it comes to The Bluest Eye, it's probably one of the most daunting books I've read because the writing and the story are so simple, yet they deal with so many issues that we face today: beauty, race, and class. And most importantly, it will make you question perfection and the way you look at society's standards. I'm going to say it one more time. You need to read these books. I guarantee you'll grow and evolve as you deepen your understanding of life, money, beauty, and societal pressures. Your outlook will never be the same. Let me know which book you're excited to try in the comments, and if you have any more recommendations. In the meantime, check out the other videos on this channel.